Hi friends, welcome to a Lovely Yarn podcast. My name is Amber. Today is Monday, July 10th. I am coming to you from the rolling hills of western Pennsylvania, where we are experiencing a very nice, muggy, hot summer currently. We went from a drought in like May, beginning of June, to a complete deluge of rain and cooler temperatures for the majority of June, and now we're back into what feels like, actually it feels like we're having a proper summer. So that means here in Pennsylvania, at least my part of the woods, hot and very humid. So I'm fine with it. I love summer. Spring and summer are my favorite seasons. You probably know that if you've been around here watching me for a while now, but I am trying to learn to appreciate all the seasons and everything they have to offer. It is summer here. All that to say, it is summer here, and I am enjoying it, and it's just been lovely to have the blue sky and the sun. And it was also lovely to have, several weeks of rain, because preceding that, we had several weeks, maybe like 6 weeks actually, of no rain, and my garden was severely suffering. Now it's doing really well. It's catching up, but it's doing fantastic now. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on this episode. We'll just dive into the knitting. I do not have any finished objects today, which is really unusual. Usually, I don't know that I've ever filmed a podcast and not had finished objects, at least one. But I think part of the reason for that is because of I've been outside so much, so I'm not knitting as much. And also I have a knitting, I don't want to call it a failure, but it's knitting gone wrong. And I had put hours and hours into that project. So, I think I didn't finish anything else because I was working so much. I was working in a very dedicated manner on this one project, which I'm going to talk about in a few minutes. But I should just mention what I'm wearing, because I know that I like to know what people are wearing when they have their knitwear on. This is the Seaborn Tee by Herb Garden Knitwear. And it is knit in Drops Belle. The main color is mint cream, which gets me because it has no green to it at all. I think mint cream should have like a light green. It's actually very much just like a beige color. And then the contrast stripes are knitted in the Drops Belle as well, in the Petrol. I'll put all the information down below as far as like the colorways and the yarn and the links to the patterns and all of that. So yeah, this pattern is nice because the thing that I think makes this special is the scalloped edging along the bottom. And you can see it's very cropped, so I'm wearing it over a dress. Yeah. It has the same scallops along the edge as it does on the sleeve. And if you want more information about this, you can go back, I think 2 episodes back, so it would be episode 52, where I talk in more detail about this sweater. I did have some issues with it, some fit issues, which I am going to correct on the next one I make. So they were issues that would not prevent me from making another one, but I would definitely need to make it a little bit different next time if I want it to fit me the way I feel comfortable. So, and you can go back and listen, but the main thing is that next time I will make more rows across here before I join the shoulders. This just isn't deep enough. These are knit separately and then seamed on later, and whenever I was knitting it, I should have listened to my knitting instinct, because I kept thinking I need to make that deeper. That does not look like it's going to be deep enough for my, from my armpit to the top of my shoulder. But I didn't listen to myself. I just followed the pattern, and then it is super tight, so it's not extremely comfortable. And because this is a cotton linen viscose blend, I think it's not super stretchy. So, and then this is seamed, so there is like no give there. Even blocking, it didn't help anything with it. So it's just, I probably won't wear this very often, to be completely honest, because it's just not super comfortable. Although I do really like the look of this. And so next time when I knit it, I want to knit it a little bit longer, because this is only something that I will wear over dresses. I don't feel comfortable wearing it over pants because it is so cropped. And then I will adjust this part as well. So that's what I'm wearing. Now let's talk about my project okay. So at one point in time, I would have called this project a failure because I've invested a lot of hours into it. Many, many hours. In fact, I've invested a lot of hours into it, and I'm going to have to rip it out. And so at one point in time, that would have really devastated me. But now I have a new attitude. Let me just say that, because I learned things making this shirt that, again, I just learned things. Okay. So I'm not going to call it a failure. It's a disappointment that I have to rip out something that I've devoted hours of my life to, but I'm not going to sit here and cry about it and let it get me upset or deter me from knitting further shirts or sweaters. So there is a real comfort for me that comes when I reknit a pattern. For me, anytime I knit a pattern for the first time, I'm talking garment patterns, so sweaters. Anytime I knit one for the first time, there is a little bit of nervousness within, because I realize that I'm committing a lot of my time. I'm going to be committing a lot of my time to making this sweater. And what if it doesn't fit me? Because that's happened to me multiple times. I have 3 sweaters right now that are just sitting in bags. They need ripped out because I got them far enough in to realize that they weren't going to work, that they weren't fitting me well. So when I get to that point, rather than forge through and just finish it and have something I'm not going to wear, I would rather just stop and rip it out, and then either try it again with adjustments or just allocate that yarn for another project. So let's talk about this one. This is my Pine Creek crop by Samantha Gurin. I talked about this last episode. I probably had just maybe started the yoke a little bit. So I'm going to put a picture in here, and then all the details will be down below, of course. But this is a lace yoke pattern. And when I originally chose to knit this, I was looking at this pattern as well as Samantha's Salty Air Tea, because I knew a lot of people had knitted the Salty Air Tea and had really liked it. And so I thought, oh, I like that. I like the look of that. But then when I was looking at the pattern side by side, the Salty Air Tea had a big section of stockinette here before the lace yoke started, where this particular crop tee went right from the hem into the lace, and I liked that better. And then it did have the stockinette section in the back where you did the short row shaping, but I liked having the yoke start right away into the lace up front. So I chose that one, and I chose to use this Purl Soho linen quill in the honey pink, and this was a gift to me sent by one of you lovely viewers. She sent me 3 skeins, so I knew I would have plenty to make this sweater, because it is a fingering weight sweater. So let me show you what I got here. I got completely through the yoke, and I talked to you guys last time about how big the neck opening was. So what I ended up doing was, after I filmed my podcast, I actually put my needles, I put the little, I don't know what they're called exactly, but they're like these little, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, like little tubes, long elastic tubes that you can connect, and then you can pull your project off the needles across the like tube, and then you can try it on. So I did that, and I realized that the neck it looked really big, but I realized it was going to be fine once I put on the the collar once I picked up stitches to put on the collar, and I thought, no, I can go ahead and deal with that and fix that. So I got through the yoke, and you can see it's very large lace yoke. I'm gonna be honest, I got through the first chart and I was like, can I just be done with the lace? I'm just kind of done. I need some mindless stockinette. But there are 2 lace charts, and when you knit this, I think it's sizes 1 through 5, you knit the first chart and then half of the second chart, and then the rest of the sizes you knit both charts total. So I had to knit 1.5 of the charts for the size that I knitted, which was size 3. So I chose size 3 based upon my gauge swatch and the recommended ease and the pattern. And this is where I almost always run into problems. I really need to just start sizing down, because I really think I should have knitted a size 2. When I got to this point last week, at the end of the week, I put those little, I think they're maybe called barber cords. I put it back on, stretched out the fabric so I could try it on, and I realized this was going to be too big. And it was like one of those things where I was thinking, well, I could possibly make it work if I just very carefully tried to shrink it in the dryer. But it was pretty big, and I thought it's going to stretch out. It is going to stretch out even more when I block it, because right now this lace is all like crinkled up, you know, because that's how lace is. So I was thinking, oh my goodness, when I block this, it's going to probably grow a lot. And then it's going to be really huge on me. And so I was just like back and forth. Rip it out, try to shrink it, like finish it and try to shrink it. Or do I just rip it out and use the yarn for something else? Because I just cannot do that lace chart again. Can't do it. Not right now, maybe next summer, but I am so over the lace, or at least that lace chart. I'm just, no. I don't mind a little bit of lace, but I don't think I'm a big lace knitter. So then I started thinking, okay, am I going to wear this? Do I really love it? And I'm looking at it, and the lace is very beautiful. I think it's a really pretty pattern of lace. But then I'm like, you know, I'm a very simple person when it comes to my clothing. Do I really want this? Am I going to wear it? Yeah, I would wear it, but am I going to wear it a lot? Am I going to wear it enough to justify finishing all this stockinette? There's still a ton of stockinette left to go. Fingering weight yarn. With the possibility that it's not even going to fit me well and I'm not going to like it. And then I'm going to want to rip it out anyway. So, I don't know. I'm not 100% convinced that I want to rip it out, but I'm also even more less convinced that I want to keep forging ahead with it. I don't have a problem persevering through projects. I don't. If I really am looking forward to the end project or the end product, and even though something may be boring or challenging, I push myself through. So it's not a matter of that. It's just a matter of, is this going to be worth it? And then is it really going to be worth it if my shrinking process doesn't work? So this is where I want to ask my knitting friends if you guys have any insight on that. I have the hard part done. And when I look at it like this, it doesn't look too incredibly large, but I just keep thinking. And you know, another thing is this is the first time I've ever used Purl Soho's linen quill. So I don't know its habits as far as blocking this yarn with all this lace. Is it going to block out really huge? So maybe some of you who have used the linen quill before could tell me about its blocking habits. I mean, it's all lace, you know what I mean? And I'd rather not rip it out if I can make it work, but I don't know if I can make it work. But it's not hard now. Like, the knitting that's left is just going to be boring stockinette knitting, so it's not hard. So please do chime in. What do you guys think? Have you had this situation before? Tell me how Purl Soho linen quill blocks. Does it really grow a lot? Does it grow a lot over time? Have any of you tried to slightly shrink any garments that you've made with the linen quill? I know a lot of people have used linen quill, and I haven't. This is the first time, so I don't know. I'm not familiar with its characteristics. So yeah, chime in please if you have any insight, because I would really appreciate it. Truly, I would, because I'm stuck on that one. So until I figure it out, it's going back in the bag and it's just going to be set to the side for a while because I can't put any more energy in it until I know what I want to do with it. Okay, my next project, which I think some of you commented on this little bag. This bag, I don't know if this woman has a shop. I actually won this. I won a giveaway. I think it was during Vlogmas. Sugarfolk Handmade had, Michaela had a giveaway, and I'm pretty sure it was during Vlogmas, and I won it, and this adorable patchwork bag was in the prize, was included in the prize, and this is the Jessalyn Janice. So I'll have to look and see if she has an Etsy shop or an online shop and link it below if she does, but it's a super cute bag, and it's perfect for like a sock project, but I don't have a sock project. It started as a sock project, and then I just fell in love with the color of the yarn so much that I decided I did not want to wear it on my feet, so I made it into I'm making a shawl now, which I talked about last time. Oh my gosh, I'm in the middle of a row again. Well, isn't that unfortunate? And I have it on really short needles as well, so we're just gonna do the best job we can do because it's towards the beginning of the row and it's a purl row, so it will take longer for me to finish. But this is a crescent shaped shawl. It's called the Pebble Shawl, and it's called the Pebble Shawlette. Sorry, that's why I chose it, because it's made for one skein of yarn. It's a pattern for one skein of yarn. It is a free download on Ravelry. I don't have the designer's name written down in my book, but I am using yarn from my friend Jody. She is a, well, she does multiple things, but one of the things that she does is she owns sheep. So she has her own yarn that they shear off of their sheep, and then they send it to the mill and have it made into yarn. So she has her farm yarn, and then she also hand dyes yarn. And I'm using one of her hand dyed colorways, and this was actually a one of a kind, so it didn't even have a name, but I started it as socks and I was just like, I love those colors so much. They're making me so happy. I don't want them on my feet. I want them around my neck instead. So I got onto Ravelry and found this pattern by doing a search. I think I did a search for one skein shawls, and I prefer a crescent shape because I just like how I can wrap them better. And so I found this, and it is a super easy pattern. I don't have to look at the pattern anymore. I really didn't have to look at the pattern much after the first few rows, because I memorized what was happening and when to do it. And so basically it's just stockinette on the sides, and then it has this insert of this knotted pattern, and I showed it to you guys last episode, so I'm not going to get into a ton right now, and I'm so sorry that I can't show it real great, because I can't show it to you very well because it's on very short needles. But we use what we have, right? I'm wondering where all my needles are going. I'm like, I don't feel like I have many whips, like neglected whips. I know I have those 3 sweaters that I told you guys about a little bit ago, but I think I told you about this. This is my 3rd take of this video, so maybe that was in one of the other takes, but so there could be some needles there, but I don't know. Needles and stitch markers, no, not stitch markers, progress keepers have a way of disappearing. Like, I'll buy a really nice progress keeper. I don't know. I have lost so many progress keepers. I don't know where they are. They have to be in my house somewhere. I don't know. But anyway. Oh, and speaking of, this is one of those beautiful progress keepers. This is from Holland Hoof Farm, and it's a ceramic, handmade. So yeah, I linked them in my last episode. They have all kinds of really nice stuff. They have yarn. I've bought yarn off of them. They have buttons. I've bought buttons. They have these progress keepers. They sell little planters. Like, they have all kinds of really cool, beautiful things. In fact, I just saw they have a little tangent here, but she just made these ceramic quilt block coasters, and I love them. I didn't buy one because I'm trying, you know, I try to behave myself. I really do. So I didn't buy one, but I admired them, and so incredibly adorable. Anyway, so this is just going right along. I don't know, I'm probably like halfway through the skein, maybe a little bit more than halfway. I'm starting to get to the point of boredom. I hate to say that, but it's true. I'm getting to the point of boredom with this project. I think the problem is all of my current whips, oh, except for the one I casted on last night, the majority of my knitting projects lately have been fingering weight projects, and fingering weight yarn takes longer to knit with. So it's like, I think it's not feeling like there's been a lot of progress. It's making me bored with this. I'm sorry. I don't mean to complain, but I thought about taking it off the needles and seeing how it fits me at this size, and then because I would still have enough yarn to make a pair of shorty socks. So I don't know. I'm going to keep going on it for a little bit, and then I will maybe do that, because I don't want a huge shawl anyway. I have a lot of big shawls. I really did want something smaller, which is why the name, the shawlette, I thought, oh, that sounds nice. And the fact that it's crescent shaped means it will have more, I feel like it's easier, it's going to be longer than, say, I was doing a triangular shaped, because of just how you're increasing. So I think it might work even now, just to, you know, cast off, do a nice blocking, and be able to use it as a smaller, not a big heavy shawl. So I might do that. But anyway, it's a really great pattern as far as ease. You just might get a little bored of it after a while. I don't know. I don't know. I think it's just my mood lately. Yeah, maybe it's just that. But I would definitely try it. If you have a skein of yarn that is like one skein and you really like it, I think this would be a good option for that. I don't think there's anything else I want to say. I am knitting that on a size 6 needle, so it is on a decent size needles for fingering weight yarn. So I shouldn't be complaining, right? Because I could be knitting it on like a size 2, and that would make it go even slower. Okay, next thing is a beautiful, oh, and this bag, I never show my bags, but all my bags are really pretty this time. This is by Henry and Jane Handmade. I bought this a couple of years ago, and I just love those little tulips on there. It's my favorite colors, navy and coral. Well, some of my favorite colors. Okay, so the next pattern I have, or the next project I have here, is a pair of socks, and I told you guys last week, or last episode, that I was going to be casting on the Heel Toe Do-Si-Do socks by Kay Litton. And I could not, because I couldn't get the pattern. It was, I was trying to purchase it and and I thought like it wasn't working, and I thought it had something to do with me. So I tried it on my laptop, because I had originally been trying on my phone, and I just could not get it to work at all. So I contacted Kay, and I guess there was a problem for at least that day with being able to purchase her pattern. Something was just going on. So we left. We left for, where did we leave? Oh, we went to Deep Creek, Maryland. The time is just like flying by, so I'm having a hard time remembering things. We left, and so I did not bring everything with me, but I was able to purchase it the next day. But I didn't have the yarn with me, because I was trying to get ready and trying to get stuff packed. And so I ended up packing yarn to make a pair of Hermione's Everyday Socks, which is a tried and true pattern for me. I've made so many socks from this pattern. It is a lovely pattern. It is a nice squishy textured sock, and it is not complicated at all. and it's a free pattern, so yay for that. So let me show you here what I got. So this is my sock so far, and I am knitting on what I always knit my socks on, 9-inch circulars. I don't know what size. Are these zeros? Usually I use zeros because I like a tighter gauge. Yeah, these are zeros. This yarn is absolutely stunning. It is by, I'm sorry, it's Cupid's Dart. Let me show you a cute little tag. A Knitter's Homestead. I don't know if you're going to be able to see that because it's kind of light. Oop. So yeah, A Knitter's Homestead, Cupid's Dart. And it is so beautiful. I've had it for a while. So pretty. It was another one of those yarns when I started knitting it and I thought, oh, do I want this on my feet? But it's looking fantastic in this pattern, just absolutely fantastic. These are going to be some very luxe socks, and the contrast color that I'm knitting, the contrast color that I'm using is like a very pale pink blush. This is also from River, who is the dyer behind A Knitter's Homestead. It was part of a miniskein set that I also bought a couple of years ago, or maybe last year. I don't remember when I bought it. So I don't have a name for this particular yarn, but it is, I think these two they're so pretty together. I also had this color that I was trying to decide, do I want to do like a very feminine looking sock, just very soft and feminine, and use the pink, or do I want to do a punch of color and use this, which I think came out of a miniskein set from Flower Hill Fleeces. I'm pretty sure that's where this one's from. And in the end, so I packed both, and when we got on the road and I started knitting, I decided to do the pink, and I'm super glad that I did because I love it. And I love River's yarn. It's just so squishy and soft. So I am really excited about these socks. I left the heel just plain, like the same color, and I will do a contrast toe. A lot of times if I'm going to do a contrast in my socks, I will do the hem, or I'll do the cuff, the heel, and the toe. But for some reason this time I just wanted the two ends of the sock to have the contrast color. So I went with it. Don't really have anything else to say about this other than it's a really great pattern, and I really recommend River's yarn. I know she just did an update recently, and she has this beautiful, she has a YouTube station or channel where I don't think she posts real regularly, but in the episodes that she posts are not knitting podcasts, they are like little snippets of her life, so more of a vlog style thing. So I will link, if I remember, I'll link to her YouTube channel, and then I will also link to her shop, and try to remember to link to our Instagram account too. And I need to write a note to do this, because if not, I'll probably forget. Link to all social media is what I'm writing in my book. I haven't knit this pattern for a while, and I now remember why I love it so much. It's just so, I mean, the yarn is squishy and soft itself, but the pattern just makes it even more beautiful and lovely. So yes, that is the pair of socks that I have going on right now. Okay, and this next pair of socks that I'm working on is a pair that I just recently picked up again after them. Gosh, I don't think I've worked on these since the fall of last year. And this is a pattern by Olivia of This Handmade Life, September Woods socks. I bought this pattern literally the moment it was released. And I even knit the first whole sock. I mean, I didn't block it, but it's knitted, and it has this really pretty lace detail on it. I usually am a very, even my socks, I usually just do very plain socks because I like the look of it, but I'm like, nobody's going to see that. It's going to be under my pants. So, I mean, I will see it when I put them on, but every now and then it's just really fun for me to knit something different, something a little bit more engaging. other than a stockinette sock. So anyway, I finished this first sock in the fall, and I got through the second sock, like the lace portion on the leg, and started the heel, and I just picked it up again recently here. I don't know what happened that I set it aside and didn't work on it, but I'm currently working on the gusset decreases on this sock. I don't normally knit with double pointed needles, but I must have needed, what did I need? I needed my little 9-inch circs for something. So I stuck these on. So really, I mean, I just need, look, it's like I got all easy knitting. This is just a ribbing along the rest of the foot. But this wasn't hard. I don't remember it being hard, the lace part. But that's another really beautiful pattern. Olivia has a lot of really beautiful sock patterns, and I think the last time I checked, most of her sock patterns, if not all of them, are either free. Well, she has quite a few free ones, but they're the ones that she does charge for are very reasonably priced. I think like $3 or something like that. So I have knit multiple socks from her patterns, and I am always very happy with them. Okay, so the last thing I have to show you is not a sock. It is another garment, and I kind of talked about this last episode because I told you guys I had all of this Drops Belle in the Petrol color. I ordered a bunch of it back when I ordered the mint cream to make this. And so I have a sweater's quantity of it. I was going to make a summer tank, and then I decided that I probably wouldn't wear a summer tank in this color because I didn't really have any summer bottoms that would match this. Most of my clothes are very neutral and not quite this vibrant, but I thought that this would make a nice, like, lightweight summery sweater, even a cardigan, but I went with the sweater. So I went with the Ranunculus by Knit Cafe Midori. I have knit, I think this is my fourth, it's my third or my fourth Ranunculus. This is an instance where I was talking earlier about how if I find a pattern that I enjoy knitting, I will reknit it, and I don't care if I have multiples of the same pattern just in different colors or different variations of it, because if I know it fits me well, if I know that I enjoy the process of knitting it, then I'm going to reknit it. So I have made multiple ranunculi. And I always have to talk about this because I refused to knit this pattern for the longest time because it was trending. And there's this stubborn part of me that does not like to do trendy things. Or if everybody else is doing something, it makes me just not want to do it at all. And so I resisted knitting this pattern for a long time. And then I think what happened was, yes, this is what happened. Jody, so Jody of Flower Hill Fleeces, she gifted me this pattern. I had done some sample knitting for her, and she gifted me this pattern because I was admiring hers that she had made. So then I was like, okay, I'm gonna knit this. I'm gonna give it a shot. And then I did it, and I was like, oh my goodness, now I see why everybody likes it. Because for somehow you can knit this sweater out of any weight yarn and it turns out, and that completely blows my mind. And I'm sure that there's a lot of math involved in that, and it's been a while since I knit it, so I can't remember. Like, you don't, no matter what size you knit, you start out with the same cast-on number. And but somewhere along the way, it's in the raglan section, I think, you start adjusting for your size. So it's just so nice because what I've done in the past is I'll just try it on as I knit, and then I'm like, oh, okay, I need to stop. I can stop increasing now, and I can just start the body. So I casted this on last night. So as you can see, it's on tiny needles again. I could put it on larger diameter of needle, but I just haven't. I need to get some of those stitch. No, they're not. They're needle stoppers. I need to get some needle stoppers. Do you guys have any good sources for needle stoppers? Like maybe I'll get a pair of cute ones, you know. I've been seeing those a lot lately. I don't have any, but I do have the problem of my stitches falling off, especially when I have a lot of knitting jammed on a short cord. But anyway, I am in the yoke section, and you can see the lace. This is a very vibrant jeweled color. It's actually more green in real life. It's looking very cobalt blue, in at least what I'm seeing on my screen, but it's actually more teal blue. So yeah, I started this last night. My husband and I watched a movie, and I cannot just sit there and not do anything. So I knit, like most of us probably do, right? No surprise. So I just kind of like flew through it, and that's what happens with this pattern for me. It's one of those patterns that I just really enjoy, and it just flies by. I am knitting this on size 5 needles. The pattern calls for size 10. I've never knit it with 10. I think the biggest needle I've knitted it with has been an 8. And in the past, I'm trying to think, I think I did knit it. I knit it with mohair one time, and I honestly cannot remember what my second, I'm completely blanking on what my second one was made out of. I don't know. But this is the smallest needle that I've made it on so far. And the reason for that is because if you can see, the drops Belle can be a little bit, not see-through, but you know, like you can see the light through that, especially if I would hold it up to the window. I did not want to loose gauge because I think with this gauge here, I would be able to wear this without anything underneath. I am not a big fan of layering camis underneath my knits. I think the reason for that is because I have a very short torso, and so any extra layers makes me feel bulkier in the midsection, and then I don't necessarily want a layer sticking out beneath my knit either. That's just a personal preference of mine. So I prefer to knit garments in a gauge that do not require a layer underneath. And so that's why I'm sticking with the 5, and I'll just keep increasing the raglan, whatever I need to do to make the body wide enough. So yeah, that is what's going on with us. As of right now, I'm planning on making this long sleeve because I want this more as a sweater to wear, like, not even necessarily in the summer, just maybe the fall, the spring, or if we have cool weather again in the summer, I could wear it then. It's funny because I just said I don't want to have to layer, but I was imagining this as being, I want to make it a little bit looser, so if I want to pull it on in the evening, I can do so. So, I wanted to say one other thing. Every time I've made this pattern, okay, so she gives a 2 different cast-ons, one for a wider neckline and one for a smaller neckline, or maybe she just calls it the regular neckline. Hold on, let me look. Yeah, so no, wider neckline, smaller neckline. I've always done the wider neckline, and it's never been a wide neckline for me, so and I've heard other people say that, so I'm not really sure. I don't know. It's a 60 stitch cast on. Now I will say she says to do a double twist loop cast on method. I don't. I just do a regular long tail cast on method. So maybe that's why mine's not wide. Maybe if I was doing that cast on that she calls for, maybe that would give extra fabric and make it wider. I'm not really sure. But this is the first time making this pattern in the drops Belle, and when I looked, this is the hole for my head. I finished that and I got through all the short row shaping, and I looked at it and I'm like, oh golly, that does not look very big. I wonder if that's going to even go over my head. So I put this on the little barber pole, the little rubbery plastic things that I was talking about earlier. I really need to find out what those things are called. If any of you know what it's called, leave it below so that, enlighten me with that. So I put it on the needles and I stretched it all out so that I wouldn't lose stitches. And then I pulled this and it did fit over my head. And the Belle does stretch out a bit. So it was fine. I was good. But I was a little worried. I thought, I'm going to have to rip that out. And I'm going to have to cast on with bigger needles. I cast on with size 6 needles. So I did go up a size for the cast on. But yeah, I thought I need to go up to like maybe an 8 or a 9. But I'm good. It goes over my head. So we're all good. So anyway, I don't have much done with this. But I'm assuming that it'll go fast. And this will not take me long to make. Because if history repeats itself, this pattern is a really quick one for me personally to knit. It just goes really fast for me because I enjoy it, and I like the finished product as well. Okay, so that is all I have for my active works in progress, but I did want to talk about a pattern that just released. I think it just released yesterday, and Sew by Sew Designs is, I think, Sew by Sew Designs. I think her name's Ashley. Yeah, I think that's what it is. She just released the Summer Camp Kerchief, which I'll put a picture of right here. So cute. She has a podcast, and I will link it below. I just recently found her. I think I actually found her in the episode she was talking. She was definitely talking about this kerchief in that episode because I thought, oh my goodness, when that releases, I'm buying it because it is little and I could see myself using that. And I love the look of a neck kerchief. So anyway, I bought it yesterday and it is a summer. It's made for like summer. So she made it with Knitting for Olive Pure Silk, which I have never used any of the Knitting for Olive yarns. I got onto Fiber Space, which is out of Alexandria, Virginia. So it's not really that far from me. I found that they do stock some Knitting for Olive yarn. So I was looking at the options, and their Knitting for Olive Pure Silk, I think it was $13.50 for a skein. That's a 50 gram skein, and I think that was like 200 and some odd yards. And then I saw they also had another fingering weight hot weather option, and it was the cotton merino, the Knitting for Olive cotton merino. And I looked at that, and it was only $10 per skein for a 50 gram skein. I can't talk. And I think I liked it better. I'm hoping that I want to get on Ravelry and look at project pages for both yarns. I know that the silk will be really drapey, and I want drapey. I have lots of fingering weight yarn right there. That's my fingering weight yarn. And then I have some others that's like from Knit Picks and stuff. But all of the yarn that I have is merino wool or wool of some sort. And I really would like to have this be more of a summer thing. I have the Sophie shawl, which is like, or the Sophie scarf. It's a Sophie scarf. And I have that knit out of Peruvian Highland wool. So I have like a cold weather little scarf. I wanted something to have for like spring and summer. So I may actually go ahead and order a skein or two of that. Really beautiful colors. And it's always fun to try a yarn that you've never tried before. So I might do that. So and actually, when I was getting ready for this podcast episode, I found a skein of yarn that I didn't even realize I had, which I might not even order any of that because I found this. This is Cascade Yarns Ultra Pima, 100% cotton. The only thing is it's classified. So it's 220 yards per 100 grams. So it's like it's classified as a US 5 to 6, so like a DK. So my only concern would be that, I mean, it looks really thin to me, but I don't know. I don't want my neckerchief to turn out huge because I used yarn that was too heavy of a weight. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I kind of want to order just a skein or two of the Knitting for Olive. So I'm going to think about it. That's what I do. I just think about things and then I usually can decide either way. Okay, so yeah, I think that's all for my projects. I wanted to say thank you because I got a couple of gifts from viewers over the last couple of weeks. Just really sweet, very generous gifts, and yarn and a couple of project bags and some other really wonderful things. And so I'm just gonna say thank you to you guys for sending that to me. I super appreciate it. It made me feel very special and it was so exciting. Oh, and then yeah, I wanted to show you guys. So Purl Soho just had a sale, 25%. They have a lot of 25% off sales, I've noticed. And I don't even know, it was in the early spring. I was talking about wanting to try linen quill, but not wanting to spend the money at that particular time because just, you know, because of things. But anyway, 2 of my viewers had sent me linen quill that they weren't using. And so then I thought, and then another lovely viewer sent me a gift card to Purl Soho. I ended up using that gift card just this past week during the 4th of July. They had a sale, 25% off. So I ordered 4 skeins of their good wool. So it's not even the linen quill, but I have 2 sweaters quantities of linen quill. So I wanted to try a different yarn of theirs because I've never tried Purl Soho. Before the linen quill, I had never used their yarn. So I found this beautiful, it's Goodwill. It's not Goodwill. It's good wool. And it is a DK weight, 100% Andean Highland wool. I will say, it feels very soft to me. It doesn't feel scratchy at all, but when I touch it, I can tell it has grip, which is nice because the pattern that I bought this for says that you should use yarn with a grip. I cannot remember what that pattern was called. I will put a picture of it up here and then I will link everything down below. But I really love this pattern, the look of it. I don't even know how I found it. I wasn't looking for patterns. I don't know. You know, sometimes when you're on Ravelry, you go into the rabbit hole of Ravelry and then you find things that you want to make, and then you know how that is, right? I don't have to explain myself here with those kind of matters. But anyway, I thought that sweater would look gorgeous in this color of blue. And it's kind of like a heathered. See? Oh yeah, you can totally see the heathering. And it's a little more teal in real life. It's showing up way more blue on the camera than it is in real life. So yes, I did buy this. So this was a recent yarn purchase. And not casting this on until the fall. I am just gonna work on my stuff I have here, and I still want to make the tanker tee. Let me flip back and see. I talked about Ananijuti, the tanker tee. I talked about it last week, and it uses DK weight yarn. It's a boxy, slightly cropped, and I told you I think I said I was gonna use this yarn here. This Berroco Indigo. This is a recycled yarn. I got this on sale during a yarn like D-stash, but it was like I physically went to this place and bought this. So yeah, I want to cast that on after I figure out, well, I'm gonna do this Ranunculus because I just need a project that I feel like I'm fairly, like I have a good chance of it working out because I've knitted the Ranunculus multiple times before. And plus it's a heavier weight yarn. I need a break from the fingering weight project. So I want to do this. And then my plan is to cast on for the tanker tee next after this. But in the meantime, once I figure out the yarn situation, I'm going to cast on for that summer summer camp kerchief because I really like that. I've been waiting for that pattern. There's not many patterns that I'm like, oh, I want to knit that, but it's like such a small, cute little, it's going to be a fast knit. And, oh, and I wanted to say with that pattern, it's like she has 3 or 4 different options on like variations of it. So yes, anyway, so that is what's going on in my knitting world. As I said, I'm not having as much time to knit as I do in other months of the year because I have a garden and we do a lot of stuff outside. We've been camping, we've been doing short weekend trips. Yeah, so it's just been super busy. And I have found myself, it's interesting because there was a point in my life where I feel like I knitted nonstop. So if I would go out to a restaurant, I would take my knitting and I would knit at the table. And I just find myself not doing that anymore. I want to make sure that I'm more present. And I think some of this comes with my kids growing up and just realizing how fast the years go by and just wanting to soak it all in. So I don't knit as often. I knit almost every day. It's almost every day that I knit, but it's typically in the morning for a little bit and then it's at night while I'm listening to my audiobook. It's my wind down time in the evening before bed. But it's not a race, right? I try to tell myself that. Sometimes I think being a podcaster, and I'm sure other podcasters can relate to this, there's a certain level of pressure to knit fast so that you have more things to show, so that you can post more often, because the more you post, I've been on social media for a while, and I've been on, my first podcast episode I ever filmed was either 2017 or 2018. And it's a game you play. As much as I hate that, it is a game. Social media is a game. So even just like on Instagram, the more you post, the more you are on there interacting with the app, the more the app puts your content out there for others to see. And it's the same with YouTube. I am almost positive I have this big, after some investigating and just like observations, the more frequently you post, the more views you get, the more your channel grows. For instance, I can just say, for anybody that's interested, I don't know, maybe you guys aren't interested, but I'm kind of interested in this kind of stuff. It's just maybe because I'm a podcaster, and so I feel like, you always have that in the back of your mind, like, what can I do to grow? And maybe it's just me. I don't know. I'm just being honest here, but sometimes I'm just like, no, I'm fine. I'm happy. I don't care if, but then the other time I'm like, well, I'd like to grow my channel. But during Vlogmas, when I am posting every single day, that's when my subscription numbers grow very, very quickly. And I think it's because I'm posting so frequently. And then during the rest of the year, or during times when I'm only posting every 3 weeks, which is, I think, typically what I do, everything slows down. I don't get as many views. My subscription amount doesn't grow. And it's not all about numbers, right? But it is kind of about numbers. But it's not. And I don't want it to be all about numbers, but I'm just sharing honestly with you guys as my viewers, So there is a certain amount of pressure there to knit more, so you have more to show, so you have more content to inspire your viewers. And it's kind of like a weird place that I have to work through, because I have certain priorities in my life and I have to make sure they all stay aligned so that everyone's happy. Not always happy, but so things go smoothly. You can't neglect the more important areas of your life. But I also really enjoy doing this. So yeah, I don't know, just a little bit of chatter about what I've been thinking about lately with this channel. I've also been thinking about starting a Patreon account, which is a paid for thing. Again, this goes back to, I can't monetize here on, it's so frustrating to me that I have not been, I've applied maybe 10 times for monetization, and have gotten rejected every time, which I just don't, and I can't get any feedback as to why and what I can do to change that. So I've pretty much given up on monetization, which is fine, because as I've said before, for those of you that have watched me before, I don't really want commercials in my videos. But there's a, you know, it also wouldn't be bad to make some money off of it. It's helpful. I'm being honest and real with you guys, right? I have thought about starting a Patreon channel. There's always that part of me that feels funny about doing that kind of a thing, and then I also realized it would bring a lot more pressure on me because of if I'm asking viewers to pay me for my content, then there's going to be an expectation to provide content, which only makes sense. That's how you do it, right? So I've been thinking about, these are all things that I've been thinking about. And if I did Patreon, that would be that wouldn't be knitting centric. That would be life centric. So it would be like my vlogs that I do here on YouTube. Just life. And then as the seasons change, the content would change, the creative content would change, because, you know, gardening and outdoor stuff this time of year is very prevalent in my life. And then other times of the year, I'm much more into watercolor painting and baking and crafting with clay and all those other things. Like it's always changing. It's very dependent on the weather and the season of the year, as well as the season of my life. So just some thoughts that I'm thinking of and not making any commitments to. I'm thinking about them and I'm praying about them, and you know, because I just want to make the right decisions with that. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching and for listening to my little chatty bit here at the end. If you liked this video, I would love for you to give it a thumbs up, because that helps my channel, as we've already discussed. And if you haven't subscribed yet, and you would like to subscribe, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And I shall return probably in 2 or 3 weeks. So I will see you all then.